Hey there. Do you feel like you're running on a never-ending development treadmill? Sprint after sprint, your team is working hard, but it seems to be making little progress? You're not alone. These are common Agile problems that plague many development teams. Hello and welcome. I'm JerTheDev. Today we're diving into the world of Agile, but not in the way you might expect. We're not here to simply explain Agile or list off its best practices. No, we're here to tackle the real, nitty-gritty problems that many teams face when implementing Agile methodologies. Are your sprints feeling more like marathons? Is work continually being pushed from one sprint to another, creating a vicious cycle of pressure and frustration? If you nodded along to any of these, then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to break down these Agile problems and, more importantly, provide a practical solution to overcome them. We'll explore how you can reboot your sprints, transform your Agile practices, and move from feeling fragile to becoming truly agile. So grab a coffee and let's get into it. Welcome to Agile Problems, breaking free from the sprint deadlock. You know, I've been working with software teams for over 20 years at this point. As a freelancer, I have worked on all kinds of projects: mobile, web, front-end and back-end. I have worked with many different languages and frameworks. But the biggest challenge I keep seeing on teams have nothing to do with the technologies being used. Many developers will fight for their favorite, but you know what? Sorry, not sorry. The only thing the business measures success on is feature output. It does not matter what underlying tech stack you are using or even how smart your developers are. Every Agile team faces what I call the development treadmill or sprint deadlock at some point. This is when you see one or more of the following. Most tasks are taking a lot longer than expected. Most tasks are being moved to the next sprint over and over. Developers are maybe finishing one or sometimes zero tasks in a sprint. Feature deadlines keep getting pushed out. The business loses confidence and trust in anything the development team promises. The business stops brainstorming new ideas or giving new tasks to the development team. If this goes on long enough, it becomes tempting for the business to make drastic decisions, such as laying off the entire development team and outsourcing the whole thing. Or they don't fire the entire team, but they try to place blame on individual team members, perhaps firing individuals perceived to be dragging them down. This might work in a warehouse with a shipping quota or an assembly line physically building a product one piece at a time, but a dev team works much differently, and firing team members disrupts the balance and synergy within the team. In other words, creates a hostile work environment, further worsening the work output problem. Scrapping the entire team is even worse because it will take a month at least for a new team to learn enough. I don't care what the sales manager of the new agency tells you. It takes 6 months to build a software team to full synergy. 6 months. Okay, I can hear you saying, it's been 6 months and we are hitting this plateau of very little to no perceived work done. Well, it's time to reboot your sprints. Here's how to do that. First, stop working on features for 1 to 2 weeks. I know, everyone is going to push back on this idea, but it's worth it, and keep listening, I will explain why. 2. Review your Agile processes and Agile in general as a team. This is the time to go back to basics and plan things moving forward. Here are some critical items. First of all, if you're not doing 2-week sprints, I would highly recommend trying 2-week sprints moving forward. I've heard all the arguments for 1-week sprints or longer sprints. A 2-week sprint seems to be the sweet spot where you are giving enough time for real feature output, but not so much time that it's just glorified waterfall because your sprints are so long you might as well not be doing sprints. Commit to this first as a team. Then, review the Agile Manifesto and as a team discuss how it applies to your company's beliefs, mission statement, and the project goals you are working on. This should be done in a meeting with all team members where you maybe ask them to review and come up with ideas beforehand, and everyone must share their input. This is to get everyone in alignment on the Agile process in general. Next, discuss and commit as a team to the core Agile meetings or rituals. You have to be doing all of them to be truly Agile, and in my opinion, be successful. And teams that shortcut the process are the ones who keep ending up in sprint deadlock. Be honest with each other about which rituals you are not doing or shortcutting. Backlog grooming. The reason I mentioned this one first is because in order to have a really concise, productive sprint planning session, you must have tickets in your project management system that have already been estimated by the team. Of course, you have to plan one step backward from this, and the project manager needs to enter stories into the project management system to work from. You don't have to enter everything you want to work on for the next 5 years. But try to have at least 1 month or 2 sprints worth of work. More is better. During your reboot, you will be scheduling a backlog grooming meeting every day, if not 2 to 3. Again, this is about slowing down to speed up. Measure twice, cut once philosophy. If you are not doing backlog grooming now, as I know a lot of Agile teams skip this, learn to effectively use tools like Planning Poker. Review my upcoming video about this in the Sprint Reboot playlist with your entire team during your reboot week. Commit as a team to sprint planning at the start of sprint. That may seem obvious, but I've seen some teams try to plan it after the retrospective, and there is actually a reason you want this on Monday morning before the start of your sprint. Your developers get a well-earned break between the retrospective and sprint planning, and it sets the stage for a new sprint. It also reduces burnout. Commit to daily stand-ups. Real time, not Slack, every day. In other words, if your team is remote, this is maybe a Zoom call where everyone has their cameras on. If you are in person or a hybrid team, you should have as many team members as possible meet in an area where they are literally standing. The point is to have everyone focus on the 3 questions. What did I work on yesterday or since the last stand-up? What will I work on today? What blockers are stopping me from finishing any of my tasks? This meeting should not take more than 15 minutes, regardless of the team size, but everyone will speak. Stop any member who is going off topic and suggest they schedule a meeting or talk to another team member directly after the stand-up. It is critically important you do not shortcut this. Daily stand-ups are the daily feedback loop, not only for the project manager to know where things actually stand, but also for the developers to collaborate on the project. Yes, we developers prefer to go into flow state in our own little bubble and just crank out code. But if nothing else, the daily stand-up allows 1 moment each day to connect with the team and know how everything is coming together outside of that bubble. It's important. Commit to ongoing backlog grooming. 2 times per week, 45 minutes maximum for each session. It's okay to make it optional, but really the only good reason to skip is if an emergency is taking everyone's full attention. Also, it's okay to wrap up early. 45 minutes is the maximum because this meeting requires a lot of focus, and you can get meeting fog very easily over 45 minutes. Backlog grooming is essential to staying on track for the project and not falling back into sprint deadlock. And the sprint retrospective. This should be done at the end of the sprint. Usually that's Friday afternoon, about 2 hours before the end of the workday. Schedule a recurring meeting for 90 minutes. It's okay for it to go longer or to wrap up early. The meeting should focus on these discussions, and someone should take notes for review in the next retrospective. In fact, you should be reviewing those notes at the beginning of each retrospective. What went well or better than expected this sprint? What went badly or worse than expected? A list of action items to be done prior to the next retrospective. End on a positive note, and when the retrospective is done, the work week is done. The break in between the retrospective and the next sprint planning is equally important as any of the other rituals. The developers need to be able to shut off between sprints so they can be focused during the next sprint and not burn out. I will also discuss how to run a sprint retrospective in another video in the Sprint Reboot playlist. In fact, I will review each one of the above rituals in detail so that you can watch them together as a team. And yes, I think the best way to have everyone on the same page is to review each of these rituals together and also review the stories and tickets in your backlog and participate. In other words, ask for feedback from all the team members. If someone is quiet in these meetings, reviewing the principles of Agile development, someone should ask their opinion because everyone has one. And it might be the one reluctant to share a thought that changes everything for the team moving forward. As I mentioned in future videos of this series, I will be going over every area I just mentioned in depth, including the suggested daily schedule of a full sprint reboot. Feel free to use these videos for review with your team as you reboot your sprints and ultimately get your project back on track. Imagine having predictable sprints again. PRs are flowing into the code repository, and finally being able to schedule demo meetings with your business leaders again. The trust will return, the pressure will reduce, and your developers will become happier again once you streamline this process. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe, and hit the bell so you are notified as I add more videos. Or better yet, share this video with someone you know who is experiencing sprint deadlock. I'm sure they will thank you for it. Also, my schedule has been very full, but I will be opening up a limited number of consulting sessions if you would like help getting through your sprint reboot. If there are still slots available, the link to sign up will be in the description below this video. As always, thanks for watching, and good luck out there. We may work inside sprints as developers, but development is ultimately a marathon. Remember though, all it takes is 1% improvement daily, and you'll have 100% improvement every 100 days. More than 300% improvement each year. Most problems creating sprint deadlock are not actually technical problems, but a result of the system breaking down and needing a reboot. I have done this many times, both as an outside consultant and from the perspective of a developer on a team going through these exercises. It works, and relative to the time you are wasting, it works very fast. You will just need a full commitment from everyone on your team. Given enough time, resources, and proper planning, anything is possible. Hell, SpaceX might even fly to Mars. Did we think a team from a private organization would be able to do that 50 years ago? How much easier is the project you're trying to achieve?